Hello, yet again, and welcome back to One More for the Road, a podcast of reviews, retrospectives, and just general discussions on a bunch of different games. My name is Eric, and today, as always, I am joined by my wonderful friend.
Hi, I'm Xigbat. I'm a channel regular and lurker most of the time, and Genshin obsessed a little bit, maybe.
Just a little bit. Just a
little bit, yes. But, so, hi.
Hi, Zig, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah.
You have been on the channel a few times.
I have.
I have abused your whaling tendencies for content before.
Yes.
And I'm not sorry.
It's okay, they were gracefully offered, so
yes.
I don't regret it, so that's the important part, right?
Yes. Today we're going to talk about Genshin Impact. This is going to be a little bit different from my usual reviews and the usual episodes because we are going to split this into two parts. If you're wanting to hear about this game, but you're avoiding story spoilers, I have great news. We're not going to talk any story today. This is going to be kind of a mechanical. This is going to be like a more mechanical type thing. Like talk about like the gameplay stuff, talk about the systems, and generally kind of what sets Genshin apart from other gacha games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's very different.
Very.
Yeah. So let's start. How did you get into Genshin Impact? What is your journey from hearing about the game to spending an ungodly amount of money on a dude with a big hat?
Okay, so as you know, I've come from the gacha world. I mostly into FGO, which is how I kind of wandered into this community. Mm-hmm. So I was really into that in the time, and I had started playing like Breath of the Wild on the side, and my good buddy Mistborn was like, "Hey, you should check out this new game, Genshin Impact, and I'll be streaming it, and you can come and check it out." And I remember watching him on stream playing and watching the gameplay and how you did the character swaps and the elemental reactions and exploring the world, and everything kind of had that Breath of the Wild vibe. And I know we're sick of hearing about that in the Genshin. At least for the first year, you don't really hear that as much anymore. But in the first year, it was described as like a Breath of the Wild gacha for a long time.
I mean, yeah, like Waifu of the Wild was a very
basically
thing.
Yeah,
and I get it. Like, I definitely get it. We can touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah. So seeing that, it touched on the nerves that got me into Breath of the Wild, and it also fixed all the problems. So watching the gameplay, seeing like you can play with weapons that don't break, and you can go in the rain and climb things and not slide down. Okay, I'm game. So I was like, okay, give me an account with the Luke and Razor, and I'll play it. So he managed to get me an account with the Luke and Razor, and I started playing like week 1, and I've never looked back.
So I actually remember the very first, and this is gonna age me terribly. I was reading Game Informer magazine in 2016.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so late 2016, I'm reading Game Informer magazine, and there's this little blurb about a Chinese gaming company who is making a anime-styled Breath of the Wild-like. And it showed like a couple screenshots of the Traveler in somewhere in the vague Mondstadt region. Like, I don't honestly remember, but I just remember seeing the Traveler. I remember it had like the glider wings. And I'm like, oh, that's neat. And then I forget it exists for several years. Fast forward to, what was that, 2020?
Mm-hmm, 2020, yeah.
Yeah, and Genshin Impact. I'm like, yo, I remember this.
4 years ago.
And then I'm like, 4 years ago. And so, like, I'm like, and I think that's where a lot of the, like, Breath of the Wild, like, comparisons really came from, especially because they started, like, kind of doing drip marketing, for lack of a better term, that it's like, hey, this game's going to exist when Breath of the Wild was coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately think that little blurb was in, like, their big Breath of the Wild issue.
Wow.
I'm gonna find, like, Dan Reichert's gonna find this video and be like, actually, I'm like, okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you. I'm glad you don't work there anymore. Please calm down. It's been so long. Please bully Sega into making Mega Man Legends 3. Thank you. And that joke was made for exactly 3 people, and so yeah, I'm like, all right, cool, I'll play this. And so I was gonna play it day one, but for some of us who remember day one, I tried to download it, and it took all day because we just didn't have any download speed. There was no connection speed.
Yeah,
because
I heard a lot of people run into that.
Trying to play Genshin Impact.
It was a strong start, at least for them.
It was a very strong start, and it's like, and I played it. I started playing it on day 2, and I have been playing it on and off ever since. I like this game. It's cozy.
It is. It's a great game, and we'll get into it. But it's a good casual pick up, put down sort of
man,
game.
I'm gonna make several. I'm gonna make very, like, hardcore players really mad today. I already know.
That's okay. We like to stir the pot a little bit, anyways.
Yeah. So we just talked about how we got into the game. Why don't we talk about kind of like how this game onboards people, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it's a very different sort of experience, but also very similar to other gachas. But with onboarding new people, it's a little weird because the story is very linear.
Yeah. So let's give a couple crash course. Let's give a quick crash course in terminology. When we refer to gacha games, because this is mostly a JRPG channel, but gacha games are basically games that you can spend real money to roll, basically a lottery, to get random characters, items, and weapons, and you can pour real money into it, but the game generally also gives you currency for free. A lot of these are mobile games, which Genshin is technically a mobile game. We'll get to that.
Big quotation marks there.
Yes, big quotation marks in the mobile. But a lot of them are like turn-based or like very like simple strategy things. This is just straight up an ARPG. Like, yes, this game, like the Breath of the Wild like comparisons actually kind of make sense. This is basically JRPG Breath of the Wild, but with a gacha mechanic duct taped to it. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of gacha game type systems, which again we're getting there. But yeah, so like new players, like they start up the game, they kind of get tutorialized on basic combat, basic movement, and they're introduced to the first of the currently 4 nations or regions called Mondstadt. Yeah, yeah. So Mondstadt's kind of where you start in the game, and as you progress through unlocking these things called teleport points where you can fast travel, and statues will open up more of the map. So my problem, which kind of got solved with the newest region, Sumeru, but I had complained a little bit in the past that the linear story of Genshin, it's open world, but the main story is very linear. You have to follow a certain path that they set out for you when you join the game in order to progress. Yes. So
Liyue, which is the second region, is kind of like it's land, like it's right next to Mondstadt.
Yeah.
But the third region, yeah, they're adjacent. The third region, Inazuma, is you have to cross the ocean to get to it, which is where some of the problem began. Because if you were a new player that started right around Inazuma and you rolled one of the Inazuma characters who took Inazuma mats, you were kind of locked out of leveling that character until you progressed the story that far.
And it was a pretty good chunk of time into the story. Mm-hmm. Like if you were speed running the story, it would probably still take you upwards of like 10 hours.
It is a non trivial amount of time. Yeah,
because you have to be like AR 30, and I just straight up don't think you can do that in like a day.
Yeah, and appreciate it, I guess. Really like absorb the story.
And I actually wonder how much of the game you can do without really interacting with like anything outside of the main quest.
That's a good question.
Like, where do you start getting like level locked?
That is a good question. Because like it feels like they do a pretty good job of like with the world levels, keeping it within your range. So in Genshin, world levels, as you progress, you have an adventure rank, which is your pretty much your
count level.
Yeah, count level. Then you have a world level, which usually goes up with your adventure rank, and it controls what the enemies' levels are in the wild. So you can lower your world level, if it gets too hard. So it at least keeps it simple. So the good thing about Genshin is that kind of solves a little bit of that problem about new people getting locked is your characters don't need to be that high until you get to the end game. So you could get by with your characters being like level 40 to 50 until you get to Inazuma.
Yeah, Inazuma feels like it's big. I feel like we're. I feel like we're.
I feel like we.
Yeah. But like, yeah. Generally speaking, new player experiences they slowly introduce you to the game, and they kind of start. And then the game slowly opens up as you do the story. The one thing that is nice though is 3 of the 4 regions are in a connected landmass, and you can, in fact, walk. If you wanted to from the first like city all the way to the most recent city right now.
Yeah, and that's my point when I had made that Sumeru kind of solved that issue that I had, because you can get to Sumeru right now.
But Inazuma, the third region, is like on an ocean, and you don't get access to boats until you get to Inazuma. So that's fun.
Yeah, but I feel like the more regions that come out, the less difficult it would be. Like, a player day 1 could roll Wanderer and be able to get him to 90.
That's why. Oh my god, hold on, I just realized something.
Yeah.
Because Sumeru does have access to boats.
And
that's
right.
why you can't leave the bay, because then you could just take the boat to Inazuma.
We've solved a long-standing question for Eric.
I feel like I've just figured something out. All right. This has gotten a little very off topic. Let's try to stick to the notes.
Right.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about like the new player experience. It's fun. I think the game does do a good job of like tutorializing a lot of its mechanics. It doesn't do a good job of explaining like what it expects your daily like routine to be necessarily.
Yeah, I think a lot you figure out on your own,
but like it explains the game mechanics pretty well, at least.
I agree. Yeah.
New characters always have like a little free trial like dungeon, so you can like test out how they work, and it kind of explains their basic mechanics, which I think is pretty nice.
I do like that. Yeah.
And I think Let's talk about the gacha system, though, specifically.
Okay.
Hi, editor Eric here. We rambled for like 40 minutes on this topic, and I'm just going to give you the important part. So, sorry about that. Enjoy.
Don't play gacha games, all right? Also, don't spend money on gacha game.
Okay, back on track.
Back on track. All right. I and to see that would have been a really good segue into anniversary, but I want to talk about that when we get closer to actually, no. Let's talk about anniversary.
Okay. All right.
I was going to talk about advertising next since we're talking about money. But,
yeah.
Anniversary is basically advertising. It's just very specific advertising.
Basically.
Zig, lead us off here because I'm not 100% sure what you wanted to say about that.
I don't have a specific point, but I feel like it had to have been touched on because it's such a
it's
big
a hot
hullabaloo.
It was kind of a hot button issue. So during the first anniversary for this game, the community kind of had like this uproar where they're like, "Where is our free currency?"
Yeah, it was a lot of people. Okay, well, let me segue first into saying that I think the way Genshin is, as you had said, like an action RPG-esque with gacha elements slapped on, it attracted a lot of people who were not used to gacha games. So
definitely.
I think a large part of this community has never played a gacha game or has been barely exposed to gacha games. So when the anniversary rolled around, those of us who have been in the gacha scene for a long time were like, oh, okay. Like, it's first year anniversary. They never do that many rewards on a first anniversary. Shocking to those of you I know who are probably jumped into FGO or another gacha game later down its life. If you look back to those other games at their first year anniversary rewards, it was very little. You don't get a whole lot. And,
Yo, do you want an entire Rider gold piece?
Yeah.
Just one, though.
Just one, yes.
All right. So on one hand, I 100% get, and I agree with the point that like it's first anniversary. They kind of don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of did what they did with Honkai. I think it was a very similar. Honkai Impact is like the other game that HoYoverse makes.
It's like their baby.
It's they made Genshin Impact, and now Genshin Impact funds development for Honkai Impact. I always make that joke. It's like Genshin is the money the money bag for which Honkai Impact can be continuously made the way they want it to be. So I agree. Like I think it's basically what I expected out of the first anniversary was what we got. But I also understand the point that Genshin Impact, like literally, was one of the highest grossing games of all time in the 1 year that it existed.
Yeah,
which is and so from that perspective, I can see where people would think it's a little stingy. Would I have liked more? Yes, but like. I can't get mad about things like that because I'm just like, all right, cool. You gave me stuff, sweet.
I agree.
But like people, if you want to be mad about that, that's fine. If you want to be mad at me, tell me about it in the comments below. But also, make sure you dislike the video and tell me about it in the comments. And if you're, what are we? 40 minutes into this video, something like that. And thank you for watching 40 minutes of this video. I hope you have a great day.
Right. They made a lot of money and it's showing now. So I think that people thought that, well,
Genshin kind of got way bigger than I think literally anyone expected.
I agree.
Especially them.
Yeah, I think they, and I had argued with someone over this, but they expected it to be big. Like, they expected it to be successful. I don't think they ever expected it to be the beast that it is now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of that is because they're getting new blood into the gacha system, like new people who had never played gachas before. So they're able to take that money and put it into the game, as we're really seeing now.
Yeah,
with Sumeru and story and everything.
Yeah, because I feel like they had like up to Inazuma kind of planned out. Like at least up to the beginning of Inazuma felt like it was planned out. But I feel like at the tail end of Inazuma into what we're currently experiencing is stuff that started being developed after the game released.
Right.
Because people don't really understand, like, game development's
no,
time consuming. Like I said, this game was announced in 2016. So they were working on it prior to 2016.
And you said they had screenshots. See, it wasn't even on my radar. So if they had screenshots and stuff, then it had been in development even before then.
Yeah, because that means they had like graphics, and I specifically remembered the Traveler. They used Lubine because, of course, they did. Because no one likes Aether. We'll get to story stuff. That's a character video. Link will be in the doobly-doo when it releases next week. Anyway,
nothing you said was wrong.
Nothing I said was wrong there. But like the game just, I feel like we're finally starting to see the fact that, hey, they are putting money into all of the aspects of this game, the cutscenes, the story, the environments, everything. Like this new area feels better. It feels like it's from a different game almost.
It does. It's so fully polished in a way that the other regions are lacking. And I don't say that as like an insult to the other regions. It's just, it's clear that they were able to put the love and attention into the game.
I will argue that Mondstadt is kind of uninspired.
Okay, well, listen.
Look,
they needed to slap something together.
Look, like the opening area is not the most exciting looking area. Oh, look, another verdant grass field. Oh, my fantasy windmill experience. Look, I love this game. I can talk whatever crap about it I want, all right?
That's fair.
Liyue's dope, though.
Yeah, no, Sumeru's still my favorite.
Oh, yeah, like, Liyue's dope. I think Inazuma's fine, but, like, Sumeru's like, oh.
Inazuma's just annoying, but we'll get there, I guess.
So that was year one. What was year two? I legitimately do not remember Anniversary 2.
So year one was basically year two is kind of a repeat of year one. So I don't understand why people are so mad, because I think year one we got
one multi.
We got multi, but then I think we got another multi, and then the wings.
Multis, you're right. Yeah. I forgot. Were those
wings? No, it was the music wings.
Oh, the music wings. Oh, yeah. The concert
people
wings.
People raised a fuss because it was going to be for sale. Like, they were going to sell it. And I think because of all the backlash, then they made it into an anniversary. And then we always have it.
I still can't believe there's KFC wings.
I know. And they're some of the best looking wings.
I know, it's so annoying.
But they gave us the wings, and then the two multis, and then we had the event. We had a fate. It was an anniversary event, but they didn't call it an anniversary event. They gave you a whole bunch of free primos. So we kind of had that same repeat. We had primos and
we got
fates,
two multis worth of stuff.
Yeah, we got a pet and fragile resin. And then an event.
I'm gonna be 100%. The free fragile resin was the best part.
Resin. Yes,
resin,
I agree.
My love. My love, resin. Give me your delicious juice.
I guess we never really talked about resin, so we probably should just real quick cover what resin actually does.
I mean, that's actually an amazing segue. Well, I mean, we can talk about resin when we get into gameplay loops.
Okay, perfect.
TLDR, it's a stamina system that generates with real time.
Yeah, right. So Anniversary 2 was basically just a repeat of Anniversary 1, but with less stink about it. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, why the community wasn't as mad as they were, but maybe they just calmed down.
I think we were all just really hype about Sumeru.
They'll probably do the same.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember what. Yeah, because that's when 3.0 drops, right? That was Anniversary. Was 3.0?
I believe so. So yeah, everything.
One. God, I have no idea how time works.
Yeah, everything in my brain just kind of meshes together. Okay, wait. It says 3. Yeah, it says version 3.1. I have the Anniversary thing up.
Okay.
So it was a 3.1 thing. So we were probably still high off Sumeru.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they're not bad rewards, and the pets and the resin, and it's perfectly fine.
It's fine. Again, would I prefer more things? Yeah, they make infinite money. Please give me stuff. I like stuff.
Well, even if they didn't make infinite money, we all like free things.
Exactly.
But there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to fight with me in the comments.
Exactly. If you dislike the video, fight with us in the comments, and tell me that my thumbnail looks stupid. What are you going to do about it? Anyway, advertising. Speaking of free stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about trailers. Because this game does really...
really good trailers.
If you like nothing at all about the way this game plays, the trailers and music, and we'll get to music, but the music and the animations for these trailers are really good.
It's another place where they've put the money, and you can tell.
Yeah.
The trailers and the production value of the trailers in the past several months in this new region have just been out of this world.
So in order to talk about this, we kind of have to talk about the release schedule for content in this game. Every 3 weeks, you remember I said that banners last 3 weeks, and we get new characters roughly every 3 weeks to 6 weeks. And with a new character, we get a teaser video, which is basically just hey, here's what this person sounds like and looks like, and maybe a little blurb or something, and maybe they'll say something. Ooh.
Yeah.
Then we get the trailer, which gives us a little bit of their story. I believe it gives us kind of a cutscene, showing their backstory or something about them.
Yeah, the teaser the teasers are what comes out first, and it's usually in a short animation.
It's a 2D
format.
Animation usually, right?
Yeah, it's usually hand-drawn 2D animation, and it looks gorgeous. And like you said, it gives a little bit of their backstory or something that's going on currently. Just gives a little bit of lore. And then the trailer is what kind of shows off their gameplay while also telling a bit of a story. And then you'll find your final one.
Yeah, and then the teaser usually comes out a couple weeks before the character drops. Trailers are the week prior. The demos usually the day of.
Yeah.
And the demos are the big ones, right?
Well, I guess I wrote demos. I collected miscellany kind of explains in detail what the character does.
Oh yeah. That's their tutorial video with also a little bit of lore. And all right. Genshin's got a lot of lore, and we're going to talk about that lore in the second video. And I just want you all to know, things are going to get wild, all right?
Yeah.
Stuff happens in this game.
The
trailers are part of the lore.
Everything in this game is part of the lore.
There are no small details. I hate it. Am I going to ruin my ability to ever work with Miyoho in an official capacity and talk about leaks and acknowledge they exist?
Yeah, I feel like if we're going to talk about it, we have to bring up the leaks.
Yeah, all right. So, like, when a new version drops, every 6 weeks we get a new version. So when you hear us talk about like 3.0, 3.1, a patch drops, we usually get a new chapter for the main story, and a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so we usually get, every patch, which is every 6 weeks, we get a new version and a new main story chapter, new characters, etc.
Mm.
But also, the beta for the next patch drops. And I have never heard of these things, but some people make some of that information public, even though they shouldn't.
It's very illegal.
Yes, and a sponsored streamer periodically. I'm not sponsored for this video, unless I can find a sponsor for this video. In which case, editor Eric cut out that part and then to replace it with the ad right here.
Yeah, Mr. Hoyo, if you want to sponsor us, we'll cut this out and we'll never talk about it ever again.
I'll talk about it again. What are they gonna do?
Not sponsor you.
Exactly. What are they gonna do? Not sponsor? Raid Shadow Legends didn't sponsor me a second time.
I wonder why.
Right. I am a great person to sponsor stuff for. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, like if so we get to hear about characters ahead of time. I'm doing this as a bit, but let's say that you're vibing on twitch.tv/Genshin Impact and you're seeing your favorite streamer and they've got a hashtag ad in their thing. Don't talk about leaks.
Yeah, don't.
They have a policy, and you're just going to make it harder for that person to get paid. And you're going to get banned. They're already shilling out for money. Can I talk about this for a minute?
Yes, please go on.
Look, if your favorite streamer suddenly does an ad for something, don't be like, oh, you're a sellout, Mr. Opolis, which, I already know that. But like, dude, just support them. All right. Just like, look, we need food. Food is a thing. Please just support your streamers when we're doing ad bits. Like,
Eric has 2 cats that he needs to feed.
I know. They are very hungry. I am also hungry. But like, just you see your favorite streamer and they're doing an ad spot, just help them out, man. Just support them, because that shows that you enjoy their content enough, like, to help them with whatever they're doing. All right, just we appreciate it like a lot. Please, thank you. If you think that I'm selling out, comment below. Anyway, so
just don't talk leaks in general.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored by Hoyo, so I can talk about it. Wait
for the streamer to mention it first. If you can, don't just go in and also don't go in and spoil story. I know this is a little bit off, but it's along the same lines.
I know it's taking a lot of effort for me to not talk about story in this video. I explicitly told us we're not allowed to talk about story. Yes. The next video, we're going to be doing full story spoilers for up to 3.2 of Genshin Impact. So if that's a thing you're really looking forward to, I hope you enjoy it, but we will be, but we're not going to talk, like I said, we're not going to talk story or anything like that here. We're not going to talk characters.
No.
But yeah, like, leaks are a thing. Hoyo first wishes they weren't, but it's part of the way they do business. And
they do a public beta. It's inevitable, unfortunately. Yeah.
But it's nice for people like us who are like, this upcoming character has these mechanics and is going to need these materials, so we can pre-farm the materials.
When resin is the way it is, when you're managing stamina in this game the way you are, it really helps to know what's coming. That's my only thing. A lot of people are like, it's bad to even look at leaks, and like for me, I don't really care either way if it was shown or not shown.
Mm-hmm.
But I want MiHoYo to tell us what things I need to pre-farm, because I want to pre-farm. I want to get those mats because it's a slog. It's a slog.
Well, spoiler policies in general are like really weird because I hate like if I'm playing a game and someone is like and someone's like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen to this person. I hope nothing bad happens. It's like, look, you're not smart.
Yeah.
All right.
Not being cute.
One of the phrases that I've used it once or twice and I realize I hate it is the phrase haha laughs and spoilers in direct response to like a thing that a streamer says. Like I've said it once or twice and then I didn't realize until it was said in my own chat that I'm like, oh wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because like the streamer's not stupid. And if we don't acknowledge it, that means that I'm ignoring you on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't. So like leaks, like some people like to go into patches blind. It's just like they like to go into stories blind, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, like being able to pre-farm is nice because stamina is a real pain. And that's a great segue into gameplay. Let's talk about the gameplay loop.
Okay. So, at the very basic of this game, they intend... I always say intend because I am not a typical Genshin player. I don't play the game as intended, and the game is not hard enough to play as intended. But, so the main element, no pun intended, of this game is... Thank you. Is character elemental reactions. So you're constantly, you have 4 characters on your team at any given time, and when you're playing, you swap into your characters and use skills and burst in order to create those elemental reactions.
Yes.
So right now we have seven elements, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 7 elements. We have like you have like your normal ones that you're expecting, like wind, earth, fire, water, and then we have ice, electro, and dendro, which is like grass.
Yeah.
Dendro got added recently with the 3.0 patches, and so like the other 6 interact. Okay, earth or Geo doesn't interact with anything. It just makes shields, like elemental colored shields. But like the others interact in different ways. Dendro has like its own weird subsystem.
It's basically an additive to the others in a way.
Yeah.
So it's very complicated.
The short version that I always say is Dendro plus water equals stuff, and then that's got its own branching subsystem, and then Dendro plus fire equals stuff. And that's it. Because Dendro really interacts with fire and water, and then water allows it to interact with electro. Yeah. And that's it. It's less complicated than I think everyone explains it as.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain, but in practice, it's a lot easier to grasp.
Yeah, but like, it's fine.
I like it as a gameplay element because it's unique.
It does basically mean like when you have a Dendro character in your party, it vastly increases the amount of interaction you're able to do. Which I like. I like that personally. Yeah. No, like I said, I'm not. I always make my friends mad because I like just having my DPSers on the field, and then like I like my husbando squads, and then just the one does the damage, and I'm not doing elemental reactions, and I make everybody mad because I just like to do straight damage.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm a big fan of my favorite team, Raiden National.
oh, right, national, you say?
Yes, Raiden National. My favorite team of Ganyu, Shenhe, Kokomi, and Zhongli.
Oh,
Yep,
there's no Raiden in there.
Raiden is in our hearts.
Raiden National. It can be any team that you wish.
Yes, I actually don't know what the actual like meta Raiden National team is. I'm sure that's like a thing, and it probably involves Kazuha and people who aren't from Inazuma, which means why is it called Raiden National? It doesn't make any. I'm sorry.
No, I am not in the meta of this game.
Yeah.
People try to make a meta, but
yeah, like I'm going to put meta in big quotation marks, but like generally a team comp is an on-field DPS, the character you're playing as 90% of the time.
The main driver of your damage, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the way I build teams is you have a main DPS, a support character that either adds reactions or buffs stats, a healer, because, take damage, and then Zhongli, who makes shields. So
you can have any shielder, but if you have Zhongli, why have anybody else?
Yeah, everyone else is just less good. but yeah, I that's generally how I build teams. Other people will tell me I'm wrong, but it's my turn on the Nintendo. So
yeah, that's basically how I build it. I have my driver, my main DPS.
I like using the term driver. That's a good word for that.
Yeah, I heard it used a couple times by a couple different people, and I think it applies really well because it's not always your quote-unquote main DPS doing the damage. A lot of your supports have bursts and skills that carry on while they are swapped off. And then your main DPS driver is able to utilize those skills or bursts and add to it.
Like, case in point, Yellen and Xingqiu both have extraordinarily powerful bursts, but 9 times out of 10, if they're in your team, they're not going to be the ones on the field when you're using them.
Right.
So, like, they are doing a lot of the damage, but another character is the on-field driving the team.
Yes.
They're taking them from monster to monster, pressing the buttons and doing the bonks.
Yes. Yes.
So you have the teams, and we've made a couple allusions to this. And I need to scroll down on our thing.
Yes,
but
I did too.
Yeah, I'm like,
I took this very seriously.
Yes, this is for people who've watched any number of these previous podcasts, previous episodes in this podcast. First off, thank you. I love you. But this is easily the most comprehensive set of notes we've had for any episode. It's so good.
I spit it out within like 20 minutes.
I know. I watched you do it while I was editing the last episode. So it's not on here, but I wanted to talk about difficulty.
Yeah.
While we're talking about characters and team building. So, Genshin Impact is not a super difficult video game. Except for the optional endgame dungeon.
Specifically the last part of it.
Specifically, the last floor of that dungeon. That and a lot of people they get very obsessed about like the minutia of like their character stats, and we're gonna get into like artifacts and all that, but like people say that Genshin Impact is a game that where you have to farm artifacts for, days or months to get a piece, so your character will be good enough to do
what's called Abyss, Spiral Abyss, which is that endgame dungeon. But everything else in the game can be done with very basic sets of equipment.
Yeah.
Like, you can get optimal equipment and you can spend that time, but like if you want to take a game like this much more casually, you are in no need.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Like, you do not require any of it. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people, I get that comment a lot, where the community will people will come in that are new to the game, like, hey, I heard this game's really hard. I'm like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, just use some basic stuff.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine.
And the rewards you get from Spiral Abyss, when you do Spiral Abyss, when you get so many stars per each level, you get some Mora, which is basically your current. How do I explain this in everything costs Mora in this game, like leveling characters to talents to artifacts. Every action that you take in order to increase something takes Mora. So you get some Mora, you're always in need of it, and then you get some Primo Gems, but the amount that you get is not worth rolling a character.
Yeah, it's you literally, if you do a perfect run, the hardest thing in the game, you get less than 4 single rolls.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's not worth the stress. If it stresses you out, don't.
Yeah. And
it's really not worth it.
So yeah, and so like to do all this, obviously you have domains and ley lines, which are your daily, like, you're gonna be spending your resin, the stamina, on domains, which domains give you materials to either they give you those artifacts, which are basically stat boosting equipment. The reason artifacts suck to farm is because they're randomized. Like, you go to a specific domain with an artifact set, and you're looking for, it gives you 2 sets, but every piece in that set that you get is randomized stat-wise. It has a random base stat and then 4 random substats, and they could either be really good or really bad. And then even if you get stuff that has a good set of substats, you can level them. And then when they level, the substats are randomly increased. And so if they increase, like, something, one of those substats is bad and increases that one, then now suddenly your artifact is bad.
Yeah. And you're
this
using
is why
Mora.
You shouldn't do Abyss.
Yeah, you're using Mora to level these artifacts, so you can be out a lot of resources just leveling artifacts. Each character takes 5 of them. The first 2 actually are solid, so like HP and attack. The feather is attack and the flower is HP, so those will always be that, but the substats, again, random. Then you have your other 3 pieces, which have varying stats, which each different character will want. And like Eric said, it's all random and it's all very painful.
So the other thing that you can get in domains is weapon and talent material to upgrade both of those.
Yeah.
So basically weapons, like characters, can be leveled. And they require materials that you get from the domains, which, like, each weapon type, but actually no, it's just kind of random. Generally speaking, the weapon, depending on what region the weapon's associated with, which is roughly equivalent to when the weapon was released.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Is basically like, hey, like, you go to this weapon domain in this country to get mats for it. And so talents can be one of 3 books from each nation. And generally speaking, like, they the character gets the talent books from the nation they're from, one of the three, and they rotate. And that's the thing that drives me absolutely insane.
Agreed.
Is all of the domains are on daily rotations, so you have to farm them on those specific days. And it's one of the things, like, I kind of just wish this was just a regular JRPG and I could just farm things when I wanted.
Or all of them would be open, like, say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be talent domains, and you could farm any of those, and then Tuesday, Thursday would be weapon domains, and you could farm any of those, or something like that.
I think I would, like, legit just prefer to have, like, a second day where everything's open, because right now everything's open on Sundays, and just having like a second day, or Saturday and Sunday. Just give me more days, or maybe around the time of big events. Like, could you imagine if, like, Lantern Rite was like all domains open?
That would be so hype.
Oh my god, I would explode.
That would be so hype. A lot of people would spend a lot of resin, because, like, you have to. It really makes you have to manage your resin properly, because you're like, well, today's Wednesday and I have to farm Friday, but I have to spend a certain amount of resin before Friday or else I gap, and you don't have to manage it that well, but when you're someone like me, I manage it on a very strict schedule.
Yeah. And I think we didn't really talk about this, but, like, the weapons and characters and artifacts all require stuff to level. And characters and weapons have stages in their leveling, which are called ascensions. And once you get to that, like, level cap, in order to increase the cap, you need to give them items. For weapons, they have weapon mats, which come out of the domains, and then a regular weapon drop, or a regular monster drop. And then either, like, a regional specialty, which is like a flower or like a bean or like something on the ground, something you pick up off the ground.
In that specific region.
Specific region. Or a rare weapon, or a rare monster drop. So stuff like the Fatui knives, stuff like that.
Right.
Characters require boss mats, which we haven't talked about bosses, but, like, scattered throughout the entire, like, open world are just these big frickin' boss monsters. And, like, 7 of them are cubes.
Yes.
and so when you beat them up, a little flower pops up and they give you elemental rocks and a boss mat.
Yeah, they propose a trade offer. You offer resin, and in return, we'll give you a random amount of stuff.
Yeah, basically. And, like, so all of these domains, the bosses, and ley lines are basically just, like, little orbs you touch, and you can either get money or experience, character experience. And you trade your resin, which is your stamina, for those things. And so kind of planning out who you're leveling, what you require. It's a bit of a process. They actually make, like, multiple character planning websites
They're very
to help you do that. And you can get, like, super deep into the reads on stuff like this. Like, I know people who make giant spreadsheets, but also you could just kind of go with the vibe.
Pick your favorite and roll with it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, this game is not that complicated. I mean, it is complicated, but you don't have to make it that complicated.
Yeah. So, like, you know, we're having a time and you can do all that. I actually really like the world bosses. They're neat, because you're just, like, especially kind of, all right. So I don't know about you, but when I first started playing, I accidentally found the wind cube. Anima cube. And I'm like, what is that? Like, just finding my first one just kind of in the wild and not knowing what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
Yo, that's wild! And then it kicked me in the shins. And I just had a great time.
My first overwhelming experience was I ran into a ruin guard, and it scared the crap out of me.
Those things are nuts.
I know, especially when you're low level, and I think I had Venti at that point, and there was like a small cliff face that I was on, so there was like a big valley between us, and so I just like sniped it to death because I was so scared.
Oh man, no, my first ruin guard. So for those of you who don't know, these are like giant robot dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 4 times taller than the main character, and they have rocket launchers, and they just spin around like crazy, spinning tops of death.
Yep,
I love them. They're awesome.
They're
And
great.
The first one I ran into just jump scared the crap out of me, and then the second one was right there, and I spent like half an hour fighting them.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, haha, done.
Yeah, I literally delete them now in an instant. But it's like those
like
first times experiencing.
Oh,
yeah.
But that's something I love about this game. Like, when you don't know, the less you know about this game, like, it felt magical.
Yeah, it really did.
And that's the thing I really like about, like, when we get a new region. Like, I purposely, like, try to not look up too much stuff. And so it's just like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, yeah. Like, Inazuma kind of got that, but Sumeru really brought me back to the beginning, where it was, like, magical to run around, and you have a goal in mind, and you're going there, but then you see, like, a chest in the distance. You're like, well, I'm just gonna go get this chest, and then I'll get back to it. And then once I get to the chest, I see, like, another chest or a Seelie, and these Seelies, you follow them to their statue, and then they give you a chest. And by the time I've, like, followed that trail, I'm like, what was I doing again?
Oh, yeah. Like, and that's something I think, like, that kind of gets lost in the... Like, a lot of people, especially, like, I get into this, like, myself, like, people, especially who come from, like, gacha games, like, other more traditional gacha games, like, always kind of go, like, they're, like, very objective based, but, like, I just kind of love when I just turn my brain off and kind of just, like, go explore a region. I feel like too often, especially in this like modern era of gaming, we have perfect knowledge. We can have perfect knowledge of a game, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it takes a lot of the magic out of it. But with Genshin,
it's just like the thing that I liked about it. Gonna drag FGO back in here, and I will elaborate on this probably on our next part too. But when I first got into it, it was really magical to me that I could open up the game and just play. Because with like FGO and with even other gacha games, like I'm not like slamming FGO, but other gacha games have this: your stamina is how you are allowed to play the game. Period. And once you're out of stamina, well, you either spend a stamina like potion or something to regen your stamina, or you stop playing and you play another game. But with Genshin, I can just get on and be like, oh, you know what, I don't have resin, but I can go around and kill enemies,
you could just derp around for a couple hours, and we do that all the time.
Yeah, we do.
Like literally,
that's how I get several hours a day.
Like, I have a group chat, and then we all just gotta get in a group chat, and we're just vibing in the video game.
Yeah. So it really does have that magic.
It's something I just really, really like about this game, and that's kind of why I wanted to do like a podcast on it, and then I'm like perfectly fine doing 2 podcast episodes on it. So like, I don't know, game's good.
TLDR, game's good.
TLDR, game good. Let's talk about like a couple more mechanic things just really quickly. There's like a teapot where you can build like character housing.
Yeah,
it's not the best system. I've seen some crazy builds.
If you're really into that sort of thing where you just want to get furniture and decorate to your heart's content, and that's all you like to do, It has.
It's a pretty robust system.
Yeah. It can't capture my attention for that long, so I'm lazy and my teapot looks like crap. But there are people out there who really make it really cool.
Oh yeah. It just kind of makes me, every time I play that mode, I just kind of want to play like Minecraft or Animal Crossing instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is fine, but I could be doing something else.
Right. Yeah. If I'm going to play Genshin, I'd rather do something else in Genshin than Teapot.
Yeah. And we did touch on like some of the like non-story events.
Yeah. They just drop those every so often. They can either be something that you play or they just like web events.
Yeah. They have like combat events in game, a lot of like mini game type things. They very recently, as time of recording, they did like a mini game like co-op event, which I thought was super fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast doing that. But I also did it in co-op with you.
Yes, with me actually.
Yeah, and that was super fun.
Yeah.
But like I had to do like part of it by myself, and that was less fun. So if like you're not doing it with a group, it's probably less fun. But like that's the kind of thing you just sit down, you do it with your friends, shoot the crap over a voice call and just have a good time.
Yeah. And the web events are cute and fun, and usually you can do them in an evening. The most recent one with Scaramouche, you got to go around and gather things, and then you get free primos. And
there was like a Mario Party one a while ago, which was kind of
fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. Yeah, I like those. So.
They also just added a trading card game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, TCG.
Which I just started. I started that like the other day, and I'm like, oh man, okay. It has some strategy in it. I'm kind of a fan of it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the more advanced parts of it yet, but it looks like it can get real spicy.
Yeah, I haven't. I've only done like the tutorial. But like, it's pretty good. I've watched some people play it, and I'm like, all right, I can get into this.
Yeah, and I think that. I have Endgame in here, and I think that's kind of their answer to people wanting to do more in this game. Because the TCG, I can just sit here and play the TCG for like hours myself. So it's a lot of fun, and you could tell that a lot was put into it, and it can be easily expanded upon.
Yeah, and I guess we can touch on that a little bit before moving on to our last kind of point. A lot of people say there's nothing to do in Endgame of Genshin, but like I have no idea what they're talking about because I have been playing this game since day one, and I have so much crap I haven't done yet.
Yeah, and as someone who plays this game for hours and hours on end, me, I always have stuff I can do. Like, I guess it's a lot of streamers who just do this game 8 hours a day, every day. So, I mean, I get that they don't have anything to do, but at the same time, that's not the game's problem. It's not designed to be played that much.
I mean, I guess you could also argue that people are like, oh, there's no challenging content outside of Abyss, but like, that's fine.
I'd much rather it be easy and welcoming to new people. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but what about the whales? For those of you who don't know me, I am a whale. I am the whale that people are trying to say needs extra content. I don't. I have several C6R5s. I bought them because they're my favorite characters. I don't feel a need to have the content to challenge those characters. I feel like I am not a majority of the whales in that opinion, but I don't know. I just think it's a vocal minority. If you think I'm wrong, fight me in the comments.
Yes, dislike the video. Thank you for watching an hour and a half of this or so. Yes. I don't know where we are in the edited version, but all right. Are there any other mechanic or gameplay things we wanted to go on before we kind of move on to the last part that I'm excited to talk about?
Yeah, Eric's really excited. I'm
just over here vibrating.
I think we covered pretty much everything, because if you want more details of this kind of thing, then play the game, you know?
I'm sure there's also people who have explained the mechanics of this game in much more
yeah,
depth.
there will be...
We're just kind of chatting about the game, and just kind of giving like a basic like intro. This is like a 101 level course on Genshin. If you want more in-depth stuff, I'm sure someone somewhere has made a very good explanation video for this. We're just kind of here to discuss this is really a background video for the next video.
Yeah.
Just kind of telling you like, hey, this is Genshin basics and history, just so we can talk about the lore, and we're going to talk about the lore.
There's lore to be had,
yes.
But at a very surface level, I think we've given you what you need to understand where we're heading.
Yeah. So the music in this game is S tier.
Yeah, let's talk about the music.
Bad tracks. There are no bad tracks.
Even early game. Soundtrack.
So, similar to the Legend of Heroes series, which has Falcom JDK, that does all of their music. Hoyoverse has Hoyo Mix, which does all of their music. And if you've ever listened to the music in Honkai Impact, and you know that any of that is good, you'll know that Genshin is just that, but more. They have very strong use of leitmotifs, both regionally and character, and the game itself. Like, it's so crazy what they can do.
And you know, I never paid much attention to this stuff until Scaramouche. Y'all don't understand. This boy has my heart. So once we got to him, I started really paying attention, because people are like, "Oh, there's such strong leitmotifs in his themes and in his boss music, and his boss music like pops off." So like then I really started listening to like all the other music and paying more attention to it, and that's when I realized all these things that Eric's talking about. Like, wow, there's really a lot to this.
Oh yeah, like I've been screaming about this for like a year or something, and I just get really excited about it. But like, so you have like the main theme, which shows up in a lot of places, like the main theme, which you're probably hopefully listening to right now if editor Eric is good at his job. I have been for like a minute. And it's just good, man. It's just it just sparks joy. And then like Leeway, Leeway has some of the best area themes I think I've ever seen, or not seen, but heard in a video game. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say something, and I don't know if it's going to make any sense. Okay. But, like, I think Leeway music is, like, Donkey Kong Country level music.
Okay.
Does that make any sense? Because, like...
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country is really good.
I put Donkey Kong Country as like literally the gold standard. It is the platonic ideal of video game soundtracks.
It's one of the soundtracks that even I can I have an opinion on it. I don't have like opinions on game track music, but like Donkey Kong Country, like, oh yeah, I know. It's good.
Like Donkey Kong Country music is just like all three of them are just
Yeah.
And I always hold that as like the gold standard of and Leeway, like the Leeway town theme is that good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I am partial to Sumeru.
Sumeru's got some good themes. I really like Nahida's theme.
I love Nahida's theme.
And it pops up in a lot of really big places in the soundtracks of the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Also,
it's everywhere.
Also, you don't notice it at first. I don't know, and I don't know if it changes after you do the Archon quest or it's always been there. But the Sumeru city theme has Nahita's theme in it.
You know, I never actually paid attention enough to know.
And I didn't notice it until after, like, there's a big emotional moment, which we're gonna get to in the next video. And and then as I'm just vibing in Sumeru City, like reeling from this cutscene I just experienced, Nahita's theme just kind of weaves itself in. And I'm like, oh my... And then I'm just sitting there, like, crying again.
It hits so different. Like, the way they weave the music in with the story is so brilliant. Because when you experience it in the story, and then you hear that motif played again later on, when you're, like, exploring, it hits you all over again. Those big emotional moments come back. And
it's so good.
It's really a good way to connect those feelings again, and it's brilliant. It really is.
I think we're going to talk about a very minor story. We are going to talk a little. I want to talk about a little bit of the story of this video game. So if you want to avoid any story discussion, specifically, we're going to talk about Scaramouche. So that's going to be the last like major point. So if you want to avoid that, thanks for hanging out. Complain that I ended the video early for you in the comments. But leave a like. Thanks. I love that Scaramouche uses Raiden's leitmotif.
I know.
And
this is like my guilty pleasure, and I'm glad that you're like, yes, let's talk about it. Because
I know we're talking about Scaramouche. I should have put a better spoiler warning, but like Scaramouche uses Raiden's leitmotif in his main theme, his boss theme, like anytime he's doing anything. And I am a big fan of that, like, because of obviously their character connections, which we'll get into next time. We'll get into next time. But like, I love.
I love that they did that. Yeah, it's when I first heard it smacked me. I'm like, oh my gosh, they really did that. Like,
I was like, oh baby.
And it's just so beautifully weaved, like the way it just feels like it belongs there, you know.
Oh yeah, and and that happens with a couple other places as well. Like I said, like mostly in Inazuma and Sumeru, though. I'm trying to think of a Liyue example. I think mostly like Liyue and Mondstadt used the main theme or the traveler theme.
Yeah.
Where or you have like the Harbinger leitmotif.
Yeah, which is weaved in through all the Harbingers, their themes and their boss battles, which is really cool as well. I never was able to pick that up until I
screamed about it for
and I fell into the Scaramouche hole, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos breaking down his theme and stuff, and I was like, oh, I guess that is a thing.
Yeah. So they just have, again, like, look, I don't care what you think about this video game. If you're, this far into a video of us talking about it, you probably like it. But like, this soundtrack is just really good. I got nothing else to say about it.
If nothing else, if you don't want to play the game, pop up the music. It's on Spotify.
It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on.
It's everywhere.
Where you listen to music, it's there.
If you want background music, pop it on. Just listen and appreciate it.
Yeah, they even sell CDs. Let's say you want to support the game. You don't want to spend money on gacha currency. Buy the CD.
Yeah.
Just do it.
It would let them know, hey, people really like our music. And they'll make more.
I would buy a vinyl.
I would, 100%.
I don't even have a record player.
Me either.
I'd
buy a record player.
Yeah, I would buy a record player. Screw it.
I would buy a record player for a Genshin vinyl, absolutely.
We have anime as a point, but I don't know what you're talking about.
I just put that there because, hey, Genshin's getting an anime.
Oh, yeah! I forgot!
Did you... I'm like, I don't know. I mean, we're getting an anime.
I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, is it? I forgot!
That was like our big Anniversary 2 announcement, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I don't remember anything, because I forgot about the anime thing.
Yeah, we don't know much about it. We just know it exists and it's coming, and...
Yeah.
I know some things, but I don't know if that's official, so I'm not gonna...
Alright, that's fair. Alright, so yeah, anime's coming. That's gonna be good. And the music's
so yeah, maybe you
good.
can experience some of the story through that as well. You know, maybe you're like, oh, I want to check this out, but I don't really want to play the game. Well, an anime's coming, covering something. I don't know.
So yeah, who knows? But if you would like to also maybe experience the story by hearing us yell about it for 2 hours.
Yes.
Look forward to next week's episode where we are going to do that.
Yes, hopefully in 2 hours.
Segue.
Yes.
God, this
went a little longer than expected. I get a little excited.
Yeah, we got a little excited. I think we got a little bit too deep in the reads on some things that I kind of wanted to just touch on, but I'll edit it down. I'll figure it out. Anyway,
hey, if not, oh well.
Anyway, Zig, thank you so much for joining me for this.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you.
Can't wait to scream about it more.
I agree. And I hope y'all out there listening can't wait for us to do that either. Until next time, my name is Eric.
I'm Xigbat.
And thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Hey, Zig.
Hey.
Is Celestia big?